Hey there, my people. I am presenting for your viewing pleasure a pretty good Twilight Zone episode that's titled The After Hours. What I like so much about this episode is that it's more eerie and unsettling than scary, though it is a little bit scary too. So here's the deal. Marsha White goes to a department store to buy a thimble. The elevator operator takes her to the 9th floor, and peeps, the fun begins from there. Marsha White is aptly played by a great old throwback actress favorite of mine, Anne Francis, who, back in the day, played Honey West. It was a TV series, and peeps, that chick was bad. Well, that's the setup. Let's get to it. We see the scene opens in a department store. Marsha White is walking around looking in the various display cases. As she's walking, she's making her way slowly to the elevator. She gets in line with a group of other people who are standing in front of the elevator waiting. After a few moments, another elevator arrives. The door opens and the elevator operator says, "Going up, ma'am?" Marsha looks at the group of waiting people, but nobody looks over or looks up or moves, so she goes over and gets into the elevator. Marsha tells him housewares. He says, "That would be the mezzanine, ma'am." Then he asks her, "What in particular are you looking for?" And she replies, "Gold thimbles. You had them advertised." The operator says, "That would be specialties, ma'am. The 9th floor," and he closes the door. After a few moments, Marsha says, "I'm not accustomed to such service. There were a whole lot of people waiting for the elevator, and I seem to have a private one." The operator says, "Well, this is an express elevator, ma'am, to the 9th floor. The others are all locals this time of day." The elevator stops, the doors open, and Marsha gets off, and she immediately notices that the floor is sort of dark and there's nothing there but empty display cases. She turns and says to the operator, "There must be some mistake. There's nothing here." And Brother Man closes the door right in her face.
Miss Marsha White, looking for a gold thimble. The odds are that you'll find it, but there are even better odds that you'll find something else. This happens to be the Twilight Zone.
So Sister Girl starts walking around, and you can see that the entire floor has nothing on it but empty display cases. Like this is some type of a storage area. And as she's walking around the corner, a voice calls out asking, "Was someone helping you?" Then peeps, this woman steps out of the shadows and walks closer to Marsha and asks, "Can I show you something?" You know what? All this is hinky. This empty kind of dim lit floor with this chick coming out of the shadows. And can you show me something? Yeah, you can show me where the elevator is. I don't want nothing. I don't want to touch anything. I am leaving the building. But you know what? That's just me. So Marsha collects herself and says, "Yes, I was looking for a gold thimble, a gift for my mother." The sales lady says, "A gold thimble? I think we have something you'd like." Okay, you know what? I know it's not just me, but this chick, she not blinking. See, peeps, not blinking is kind of janky. So the salesperson says, "This way, please." And you know what? She's leading Marsha away, but she's acting weird about it. Can you see this? You know what? I be saying never mind right now and getting the heck up out of there. I'm not kidding. This chick is straight up acting funny. And I know it's not just me and my kind of scary ways. I know it's not. The sales lady asks Marsha, "Is this on your charge?" And peeps, this whole exchange is kind of strange because Marsha gives her a sort of a questioning look And the sales lady repeats, "Is this a charge, miss?" And Marsha says, "I beg your pardon? A charge?" Almost as if she didn't know what that was. Then she quickly says, "Oh no, I'll pay for it." The sales lady asks, "Would you like a gift wrap?" And Marsha hands it to her and says, "Yes, please." Then it's like she thinks about it and she takes the thimble back saying, "No, I'll wrap it myself." And then she turns and starts walking off. And the salesperson is like, "Sweetheart, that's $22.80 plus that's $25 even." And I'm paraphrasing. Peeps, it's like Marsha is discombobulated, which is an old school word for she's baffled, confused, she's dazed. And so Marsha turns and gives the sales lady the money, and then she hurriedly picks up the thimble, turns and walks away. And then this happens.
Now that's odd.
What is, Marsha?
Well, you haven't any merchandise here at all. Except the thimble. Except the very thing I needed. You called me Marsha. How did you know my name?
Yeah, how did you know Sister Girl's name? The sales lady says, "Well, I must have seen you in the store." And Marsha says, "No, you haven't. I've never seen you. And I don't want to make a big deal out of this, but what kind of place is this?" "Sister, it's the Twilight Zone. That's the kind of place this is, and you all the way in it." And so, peeps, now Marsha's running all the way down the road saying, "All I wanted is one small item, a gold thimble. I come up on a floor that hasn't a thing in it except for what I'm looking for. Well, you may be a little bit more sophisticated than I am, but I call this odd." The saleswoman, whose back is to Marsha, says in a very clipped, frosty sort of tone, "Please come again, anytime." And then she turns around and she and Marsha are giving each other the stare down. Marsha says thank you, and she turns to walk away, and the saleswoman calls out to
Miss
her.
White, are you happy? Am I what? Am I happy? Well, you'll forgive me, but that's really none of your business. Really?
Going down.
Peeps, this is straight up off. Sister Girl definitely needs to book up out of here. She needs to get on that elevator and head herself right out the front door and put all of this behind her. So Marsha gets on the elevator and the operator asks, "Found what you were looking for?" And Marsha says, "As a matter of fact, I did." And she's still a little peeved, and so she adds, "Also, as a matter of fact, it was the only thing for sale on the floor. One entire floor devoted to the sale of one thimble and an extremely oddball sales lady. Somebody needs to look into that." Then Marsha's standing there and she looks at the thimble and she says, "Hey, this is scratched. I didn't notice this before. I can't send this to my mother." And she's trying to show it to the operator and she's saying it's scratched and it's dented. Look at this. Come on, this guy doesn't want to look at this. And so the operator is ignoring her and he says complaints are on the third floor. And she's shoving it in his face, still trying to make him look at the dented thimble. And so, peeps, the elevator stops and the doors open and the operator says, "Third floor complaints." And Marsha stands for a second and then she gets out. So next we see Marsha talking to the floor manager, Mr. Armbruster, and the department manager, Mr. Sloan. Mr. Sloan asks, "Can I help you?" And Marsha says, "Perhaps you can. This thimble is damaged." Sloan takes it from her and says, "It most assuredly is. Why don't you take it back to the gift department?" And Marsha interrupts him and says, "I just explained to Mr. Armbruster here that I did not purchase this from the gift department. I was taken up to the 9th floor. Sloan says, "That's what makes this so difficult to understand. You see, we don't have a 9th floor." Marsha says, "I was taken to the 9th floor. I was waited on by a very odd woman. I paid her cash." Armbruster leans in towards her and says, "Your receipt?" Marsha says, "My receipt?" And then she kind of thinks, "Well, I didn't get a receipt, But I paid cash.
Well, there she is. There's a woman who waited on me, miss. Miss, I wonder if you'd...
Wow. Wow. Okay, people. Y'all know how I feel about dolls. I'm scared of them. Sorry. Okay, I'm scared of them. Little dolls or big old mannequin-sized dolls. And this store, that thing looks just like that chick. Kudos. Kudos. Okay? To whoever set that up, because that looked like that chick. Okay, now this is really going to end up getting good because Sister Girl has passed out. They have taken her to a room, put her on a couch. She's still out cold. Armbruster hunts up the clerk that he's put her in charge of Marsha. He's hunt her up. And he says, how is she? The clerk says, she'll be all right, Mr. Armbruster. She was just frightened. That's all. She's resting now. I think maybe she's even going to sleep. How you know that chick is asleep? She could be just straight out unconscious out. Because let me be in that scenario, and I say, hey, the clerk I was talking to, the saleswoman I was talking to, that's her right over there. Let her turn around and be a mannequin. Oh no, I'm not going to be asleep. I'm not going to be resting. I'm going to be straight up out cold, probably for days. So, okay, peeps. Armbruster says, well, go and tell her we're closing now and tell her to come back tomorrow and we'll get her a replacement or a refund or, you know what, anything she wants. And he walks off. And so just as this clerk is on her way to go and check on Marsha, another clerk calls her and tells her she has a customer. And he says, hurry, please. Because the store is closing at 6. And peeps, you can see that it's practically 6 right now. And so the clerk goes to tend to the customer, and I guess in all the hoopla of tending to customers and getting them taken care of and doing whatever you have to do when it's time for you to close, guess what? They forget about Marsha. And so Sister Girl wakes up, and she is all by her lonesome in this closed department store that is now eerily dark. And she all by herself, y'all. Okay, let's see how this is going to work out now. You know what, y'all? Sister Girl is a good one. Let me wake up in this place, I'd already be yelling my head off. I'm not going to be walking around looking at stuff, looking for stuff. Unless I'm walking and yelling. But you know what? All this is too squirrely and too scary for me. Well, Sister Girl is walking and looking around, and spotting the elevator, she goes over and pushes the elevator call button. She looks up and sees that the elevator arrow is pointing that the elevator is on the 5th floor. Yet, though she keeps pushing the down call button, the elevator doesn't seem to move. Looking around, she notices the stairwell over to the side, and she rushes over to it, only to find that the doors are locked. Peeps, Sister Girl is locked up in this place. She takes a breath and tries to calm herself down, and then she starts to call out.
Please, I'm locked in here. Anyone? I need some help. Anyone?
You know what? I'm going to do only so much calling out before I start trying to bust these doors down. I'm going to get me a chair. I'm going to get me a mannequin. I'm going to get me something. I'm going to put my shoulder up against this door numerous times. Peeps, I'm busting out of this place. Because you know what? If I can shake the doors and rattle the doors where they move a little bit, oh, this Sister Girl can definitely kick these bad boys open. I'm kicking this door all the way down. I'm not playing. This little dainty sister little stuff, okay, that's only going to get you so far. You need to be able to kick down a door. So Marsha turns away from the locked doors and she runs and stops. Then she looks around knowing She's stuck. No access via the elevators, and she's not able to get out the doors, peep. Now she's really getting scared. She spots what she thinks is perhaps a door, and so she runs over only to discover that that's not an exit either. Frustrated, she turns and runs back. Then she stops like she's trying to get her bearings. Girlfriend, you're surrounded. People, that's the elevator guy from before. Marsha is backing away slowly, keeping an eye on the elevator guy who's still laid out on the floor, like he might get up and start chasing her. When she feels comfortable that he's not getting up, she turns and starts to run away, stopping when she comes face to face with two mannequins. People, she turns around, and it's like for the first time this child realizes she is surrounded by mannequins.
Marsha.
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 Come on,
We know
Marsha.
So people, Marsha is sitting on the floor boo-hooing away when the sales clerk comes in and says, "Now, Marsha, dear, you're acting like a silly child." And she says, "Come now, Marsha," as she helps her to her feet and lead her out of the elevator. And peeps, as she does so, the mannequins begin to move, one here and another there, until Marsha and the clerk are surrounded by the mannequins. They all seem to gather in the middle of the room, and Marsha has calmed down, and she looks up at the mannequins as the clerk says,
Think now. Concentrate. Remember now?
I'm a mannequin. That's what I am. I'm a mannequin. And it was my turn to...
Your turn to leave us for a month.
And so there you have it, people. Marsha is a mannequin. Apparently, these are some kind of magical mannequins because they can come to life and they can go out into the human world once a year for a month to live the human life and have an adventure. And somehow Marsha forgot she was a mannequin and Sister Girl actually thought she was human. And so now we can kind of understand why Sister Sales Clerk was being kind of frosty with Marsha earlier, because it's her turn next and Marsha is a whole day late, which makes Sister Sales Clerk a day late. Sister Sales Clerk says, "You left for a month and you lived with the outsiders, but you were due back yesterday and you didn't show up." Now you know, Marsha, that's very selfish, my dear. All of us wait our turn and we simply do not overstay it. It was my turn starting last night and I'm one day delayed already.
When you're on the outside, everything seems so normal, as if we were like the others.
Well, no serious harm done. I'll see you all in a month.
So the other mannequins are following Sister Sales Clerk to the elevator, and they're all wishing her well and telling her to have a great time. And she says, "And you'll all miss me." And they all said, "Yes, yes, we'll miss you." And she says, "And you'll all be here when I get back." And oh, Peep, she's jovial and happy now, and they're waving and saying goodbye to her. And we see that Marsha and the elevator guy are kind of hanging back. And he asks her, "Did you enjoy yourself? Was it fun?" And she says,
It was so much fun.
It's the following day, and we see the department store has just opened up. The sales clerks are at their stations, and the floor manager is walking around making sure everything is in order. He comes around the corner and hurries past a mannequin, barely giving it a glance. Then he pulls up short, stops, and he turns. Well, my people, there you have it. Twilight Zone's The After Hours. Peeps, I loved Anne Francis in this. Sister Girl played that part, and she had me scared and jumping right along with her. And here's a little bit of what she had to say about the episode.
And I let the darkness of that studio embrace me and scare me at the same time. So it was wonderful.
Elizabeth Allen played the saleswoman, and Peep, she was good. She was very good. She was a little scary to me because she was acting so strange, but now we know why. Both Anne Francis and Elizabeth Allen brought it, which made this episode so engaging as you tried to figure out what was going on. Most definitely, kudos and a big shout out to the mannequin props. Those mannequins look just like those two sisters, and for 1960, that was literally perfect. Rumor has it they made molds of both of the women's faces, made a plaster cast, and then painted it using acrylics. The end result was phenomenal. And then, of course, shout out to my boy Rod Serling, who wrote this episode. It was dark and eerie and just the right jump scares. Y'all know I just love Brother Man, and I would advise you to watch the entire episode to get the full effect. As always, I want to shout out to my subscribers. Thank y'all, my people, for committing to the channel. And to my viewers, thank you for stopping by and checking out the content. People, won't you consider giving me a thumbs up just to keep the content moving? I'd really appreciate that. Peeps, spread kindness wherever you are, and take out some time to show kindness to yourself. Bye-bye for now.